You're listening to the Money Mike Syndicated Radio Podcast. How we doing? How we doing? You know, I want to follow up the Caitlin Clark not making the Olympic team, being snubbed. That situation's just growing bigger and bigger. I think the main issue that we're trying to understand, what was the actual reason why Caitlin Clark was left off the team. And one of the responses that we've heard, well, she wasn't one of the best players in the league. And, you know, I kind of counteract that. I've been around, seen Olympic basketball, been around basketball long enough. Normally when you pick a team, you're going to have the bigs, you're going to get you some shooters, you'll get you some guards, you're going to get forwards. It's kind of isolated position. However, in this terminology here, there's no way you can tell me that Caitlin Clark is not one of the best players as far as shooting in the WNBA. And it kind of goes a little bit deeper than that. And these are some things that are just coming out. That Cheryl Reeve, who is the actual coach, Team USA, had previous problems with Caitlin Clark, was displaying that, utilizing a hashtag, there's more than one player in the league. So this one here is really going to fan itself. I know CNN is doing a special report, and it's all because we've kind of went away from what our original purpose was, to grow the WNBA. The college game had grew to heights we had never seen before. We thought we were going to come into the WNBA and grow to the same heights. For some reason, not totally sure what the reason is, we haven't been able to do that, and Caitlin Clark finally hit the wall. She's hit the wall tonight. I mean, they played it and they lost, and it is kind of a unfrustrating thing. They lost to the Connecticut Sun 89-72. Okay, Christy Sides benched the team. I think they've reached the wall of frustration that with looking at the Indiana Fever, do they still want to play basketball? I mean, it's almost to the point of now you probably can look at giving Caitlin Clark some load management. Maybe the solution, load management, would be a great solution. Just give her some nights off. I mean, because when you hit the wall, Caitlin Clark played 22 minutes tonight, was a minus 30. That's probably the worst game she's ever had in her career. All of this has been a boiling pot because of her public relations manager and how they have shared what they want her to say and how they want her to say it. And eventually all of this has just hit the wall, okay? And the USA, Team USA, the women's game's a global game. They're trying to grow the game, okay? You want to look at the 1992 Dream Team? If you look at the 1992 Dream Team, there were two figures on there. One of them was Magic Johnson. The other was Larry Bird. Larry Bird was already injured, past his career, getting ready to retire. Magic wasn't even playing the game. Okay, medical reasons came back, and they allowed him to play in the Olympics. This is because when we went over there to play in 1992, we took the most marketable team that we could have to build the game of the NBA into a global entity. And for some reason, I don't know quite what the reason is, but they're not trying to grow the WNBA. They're doing the adverse. They're trying to pull it back down, destroy it so it doesn't grow. And every time Caitlin Clark has an opportunity, which everybody knows you're going to go to the Olympics, you're going to play with better players than you have on the Fever. You're one of the greatest shooters to ever play the game. You're the all-time leading scorer in college. And now it's your time to get on the floor for USA. You haven't lost a game. You've won 7 gold medals. You're going to blow teams out. And Caitlin Clark, the fans just want to see her come shoot and shoot and shoot. And here's the surprising thing about it, folks. And some of you may know this and some of you may not. When it comes to Team USA in the Olympics, okay, you got to understand who pays for that, okay, because that comes out of the collegiate budget. You know, you'll have the college bowl games, that supports the Olympic athletics, okay, probably now NCAA basketball, Final Four, that support the NCAA athletics. So the Team USA is coming off the budget and the funding of the collegiate athletics, utilized, and Caitlin Clark was a major part of that. You're trying to grow the game. Caitlin Clark is a major problem for the players because it seems as if the players in the W don't want to grow the game. And now you've assembled Team USA where everybody, including, as I said earlier, CNN's going to drop a bombshell report on an investigation of how this team was picked and understanding the expectation as a global architecture of marketing, which Caitlin Clark is. We understand she has a contract with Nike, and the Nike contract is global. She also has a contract with Wilson. The Wilson contract is global. Everybody's trying to grow the game to go to a global, international game, and now we finally hit the wall. It finally came across where Caitlin Clark just needs a little time. Christy Sides, you can give her 2-3 games off, let your team go play, because nothing's working now. It's hit the wall. It's frustrating. I never expected this. I understood that the women wanted to get paid more money, and I don't think that's really what they're after. I think they're after the league to be what it's always been, and they feel the league can be better off without Caitlin Clark, which is a travesty, because the league is not better off with Caitlin Clark. They believe that without Caitlin Clark, they can continue the growth of the WNBA without Caitlin Clark. And they don't need Caitlin Clark to be successful. And that's fool's gold. And everybody knows the NBA has been stepping in and carrying it. And finally, you get all the partners there, and all of a sudden, she's left off the Team USA Olympic team. That is unbelievable. And it's sad. It's sad because finally we get an opportunity to see somebody play the game at the highest level that may not have all the athletic ability, that may not have the highest vertical jumping ability, but it is someone that America can look at and say, I can do that too. You don't have to be 6'6". You don't have to be 6'10". You don't have to dunk. As long as you can shoot the ball well, the WNBA has a spot for you. And all that's been taken away. And it wasn't Caitlin Clark's intention. Caitlin Clark was a competitor that came to the W, competed, beat South Carolina, did everything she was supposed to do to be aligned and see the results that she has given to the game of women's basketball. She brought in to pull her whole heart out. But now every time she pulls her heart out, it gets stepped on, and it's not respected. And it's like you get to the stage, as Caitlin Clark is feeling. I am just depressed. I'm tired. I don't want to talk about it. I've been asked the same questions over and over and over again. We understand the Indiana Fever don't have the best talent, so you can't grade Caitlin Clark on her performance with Indiana. They're one of the worst teams in the league. But if you put her on the Liberty, the Connecticut Sun, the Sparks, the Dreams, she would play lights out. But to say she has 4 more years and lots of years to go to the Olympics, that's not true. The time is now. The time that the league is trying to get global exposure is now. Paris is waiting. But all because it may overshadow the other players. If Caitlin Clark went to the Olympics, it would be like Michael Jackson or Michael Jordan. The fans would surround her. There's people who are in the USA who will travel to Paris to see her play the games. This is a travesty. And I don't believe or don't understand how the committee or the coach could utilize a hashtag. There's more than just one player in the WNBA. So not only do you have the players who are going against her, you have the coach who is going against her. And in life, we understand it's not fair. We stand on all things are possible to those who believe. And yes, this is the Money Mike Syndicated Radio Podcast powered up by Fanatics. But folks, this is a heartbreaker. It's wrong. It's not right. If you want to line up and say of the 144 players, Caitlin Clark is one of the most talented, if not the most talented shooter. And the last time I looked, Reggie Miller was a shooter. J.J. Redick was a shooter. Okay, Ray Allen was a shooter. Shooters are hard to find. And there's no way that you can tell me on Team USA, the United States Olympic team, those are the 12 best shooters. She went to the team camp. She played in front of them. You guys saw what she did. And now you changed the narrative to say, well, if she came, she wouldn't get any playing time. Christian Laettner from Duke, okay, to make the game more marketable. They chose Christian Laettner from Duke. They had an opportunity to choose Shaquille O'Neal. But for the betterment and the growth of the game into the global architecture and marketing, they chose this different person. Okay, why? Why did they choose Christian Laettner? Because the game has to be marketed. That's the name of the game. And I don't understand for the life of me if the WNBA players are looking at increasing salaries. How do you expect to do that if you don't include Caitlin Clark? Your results will go back to what they were before, and the league will go back to what it was before. The expansion will stop. And folks, I told you, half of the players won't be in the league for whatever reason. But there are reasons that are stacking up now that I can clearly see from a corporate enterprise, global business architecture. About half of the individuals in the WNBA, or the W, will not be there. This is not about favoritism. This is not about cliques and friendships. This is about the global marketing of the game. And Diana Taurasi, you did an outstanding job marketing the game, and we understand how you feel. It's the same way the guys on TNT, okay, when they look at Shaq and you look at Kenny, you look at Charles, they're looking at $60 million players are getting paid. They didn't see anywhere near that money. And I know you're looking at Caitlin Clark and the amount of money she's making, and you're not seeing anywhere near that money. But you can't ask her to sacrifice for you, and you don't sacrifice for her. It's now, well, why even worry about private? Just go ahead and get Caitlin Clark one plane, a private plane. Let her fly to the games private. Everybody else can go back commercial because they don't need Caitlin Clark. This is the Money Mike Syndicated Radio Podcast. We are completely disturbed. This is not about the Olympics and how they can win. They've won every time they've been there. But now you're insulting not only your corporate partners, okay, you're insulting the fans. And I guarantee you this, it will be very interesting to see the ratings of the U.S. Olympic basketball team in Paris if Caitlin Clark is not on the team. I can tell you this, you're going to have some fans, because of this action, will not watch the Olympics, women's basketball. And you're going to have some fans, okay, because of this, are not going to attend the games. This is not what you want as far as the WNBA becoming more marketable, a global league, an inclusive league, and all of a sudden now we play by a different set of rules. We understand that everything you do, you shall be acknowledged in doing it. We understand that two wrongs don't make a right, and we understand that Caitlin Clark is good for the women's game of basketball. I mean, 100%. And the other draft picks are coming in, or ambassadors, who are going to be just like Caitlin Clark. But we got to look at the global picture, corporate enterprise business. You have AT&T as a title sponsor on the back of the uniform. I worked 23 years AT&T and AT&T National Business Markets and in their wireless service. Folks, this is corporate enterprise business. Everybody's inclusive. There's nobody left out, and you've got to make the right decisions so you receive what you're asking for. But when you leave Caitlin Clark off the team, that tells me the WNBA doesn't want higher salaries. WNBA doesn't really care about chartered flights. WNBA is saying we're better off just going back to the league we were. And that's a league of your own that nobody wants to participate in. This is the Money Mike Syndicated Podcast, and we're bringing it to you just the way we should. All things are possible to those who believe, and yes, Caitlin Clark has been left off the Team USA. She hit the wall tonight, 89-72, played 22 minutes and was a minus 30. Christy Sides pulled the full first team. So it wasn't practice they needed. This is bigger than practice. This is bigger than learning plays. This is an insult and to someone who's given their heart to the game of basketball. but has not been accepted in the WNBA. And it's time to move on, or the corporate sponsors will move on, and the WNBA can return back to what it was. And I can guarantee you this, there's many players and coaches would be just fine with that. This is the Money Mike Syndicated Radio Podcast. We're powered up by Fanatics, and we're bringing it to you just the way it should be brought.